Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we will do a short afternoon flight into a small German airport called Sonnen. Sonnen is also named or nicknamed the German Courchevel. So for those of you who don't know, Courchevel is one of the altiports in the French Alps, which have a sloped runway, no go-around procedure after a certain point, so a very, very challenging approach. The German Courchevel, as I said, is called Sonnen. It is, to be honest, by far not that difficult as the real Courchevel, but I've never flown there, and that we will today correct. As you can see, we are sitting here in front of the Piper Comanche, also just a great plane to fly. And before we jump into the cockpit, let me show you the routing we will take. So we are here on the left side in Echo Delta Mike Victor, which is called Vilshofen. As you can see on the screen, or you've seen, also not the shabbiest place to be. It has kind of for a small airplane, long runway, lies directly next to the Donau in German, or Danube in English. We're sitting here on this small apron, and we will just do our pre-flight checks and then take off from the runway. We will need to check the wind, in which direction we will take off. And as you can also see here, if we will take off into the northwesterly direction, we will climb to 2,000 feet and do a left-hand pattern, leave the pattern to the southwest, or let's say west, and then just fly a course of 77 degrees, heading of 77 degrees for 20 nautical miles until we reach our destination, which is Sonnen. And there we will land in the direction of runway 20. Let me check that. If that is correct, I think so. Yeah, sorry. So we will land in the direction of runway 02. That should be the sloped part, so we will see an up sloping runway when we approach runway 20. Sorry, runway 20. But we will make sure that when we are near to the airport, so maybe we will do an overflying. As you can see, we will enter the pattern at 3,400 feet and do a right-hand traffic pattern. The airport is at 2,700 feet, and our departure airport is at, I think, 1,000 feet, which is correct, 991 feet. So 2,200 feet for our departure, and with that, let's go into the cockpit and start with our pre-flight inspection. So first things first, let's remove the control locks and the steering column. We will do our walk around first. So we will open the window, the door, and start with the walk around. So the flaps are tight, the ailerons are free to move, so the tank is empty. We will have a look on how much fuel we will have. We have in our tanks. Fuel looks good. Landing light looks good. Tie down. There we have fuel. Let's see whether we have fuel in our draining here. Oh, we do. That's okay. Prop looks good. Let's check the oil. It's hard to see, but I think we are good with 9-10 quarts. So let's see how much fuel we have in the left main tank. There's also fuel visible. That should be plenty for the short flight. Remove the wheel chocks and the tie downs and the pitot cover. Landing light is good. So there shouldn't be any fuel in the wingtip, which is fine. No water in the fuel. Static port. Remove the tie down. That's all good. And we have a little bit of luggage. Perfect. So let's go back into the cockpit and then we will start our before engine start checklist or flow. So we completed the pre-flight, passengers are briefed, seatbelts are secured. Let's close, oops, the window. I'm not sure what happened there. So window is closed or door is closed. Parking brake. Parking brake is set. I'll just make sure. Perfect. Gear switch is selected down. Flaps are up. Radios are off. Autopilot master is off. Avionics master off. All electrical switches are off. Circuit breakers look fine. They are all in. Perfect. And the rotating beacon can go to on. So then we are ready for engine start. So let's see. We said that we have fuel in our main tanks, which is correct. 18 gallons or 70 liters, a little bit in the tip tanks, and we have only one person on board today. So fuel selectors go to the main tanks. Mixture to rich. Throttle a little bit cracked. Prop is full forward. Carburetor heat is off. Master switch on. Fuel pump on. And we should see fuel pressure rising, which it does. So fuel pump can go off. Primer 1 to 5 strokes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Max to both. And successful engine start. Oil pressure there, so all good. Mixture, we can lean the mixture a little bit to avoid spark plug fouling. The primer is locked. Avionics master goes to on. Amp meter looks okay. Radio's on. Transponder, VFR, and standby. Altimeter is set, and we will need to check the wind. So it looks like we will take off from runway 30, so we will taxi down the taxiway and then take off in a northwesterly direction. So heading indicator we can set to our departure heading. landing gear lamp is green. Nav lights on. And before we continue our or start our taxi, let's set our destination. Perfect. 20 miles, that checks out. I will activate the strobe light, and we need to test the brakes on initial roll. The only thing to left is to sync the digital engine monitor, which we did now. And with that, I think we can turn the nose into the wind and do our run up. So let's put the tablet here, and we will also put our headset on so it gets a little bit quieter. Okay, parking brake released. We are taxiing and the brakes are working. So now I will turn the nose into the wind. Something like that. That's enough. So, run up. The brakes, we hold the brakes. We have enough fuel. The fuel selectors are on the desired tank. Mixture is leaned throttle, 2000 RPM. Set. Engine instruments, so oil pressure is good, oil temperature is good, and the cylinder head temperature is also good. Okay, so now we switch to left magneto, and we see a drop about 100 RPMs. That's fine, right? Also 100 RPMs of drop. That is both fine. So now we cycle the prop 3 times. To 1800 and check steady. That's fine. Then we will check the carburetor heat. That looks all good, so we can reduce the throttle again. Let's do a quick inspection if we missed something, but this all looks fine. Okay, then we will taxi to our departure runway, which will be we will just take the taxiway to the right here and then taxi down the whole length of the runway, and then we can take off. Looking very much forward to that flight, or this flight, and also the landing. So let's check our flight controls and make sure not to taxi into the grass here. So the elevator trim is neutral. Doors, latch, flaps. Yeah, we will do a flaps. We don't need flaps for this takeoff, or maybe flaps 1. Mixture, full rich, and prop full forward. Fuel pump on. Pitot heat on. It's always a little difficult to taxi while doing checklists. Carburetor heat is off. Engine instruments look very nice. Strobes are on, and we will switch on the landing lights now. And we will enter the runway. What a beautiful sight here with the lighting of the low sun. It's just beautiful. Little bit of a graphical glitch here, so a little bit bigger glitch. Okay, so we will not use the whole runway. Let's see whether this will work out. So take off. A little bit of a crosswind. Okay, please don't. Okay, yeah, whatever. 85 knots, and we are in the air. Now removing the rudder. So gear up. And when we are clear of the terrain to the left, we will start our left turn, which is the case now. So flaps up and turn to the left. What a beautiful departure. Oh boy. Oh boy. I need to land at this place at some point. So we are now almost at our pattern altitude of 2,200 feet. So we can reduce the power a little. So 24-inch manifold pressure and 2,400 RPM. This will give us a nice climb performance, but it will not overheat the engine. So look at that. Look at that. Oh my god, is that beautiful. Oof. Okay. So, we are flaps up, gear is up, we can switch off the fuel pump. And we can also switch off the landing lights. And what we will now climb to something like 5,000 feet. And we can now turn in the direction of our destination, Sonnen. I will start to lean the mixture a little, and I'm looking at the engine monitor and I can see the exhaust gas temperature increasing. And we are climbing with 1,300 feet per minute. What a performance. Okay, autopilot master on. And when the autopilot is engaged, we can activate heading mode. So the autopilot will now follow the heading buck, the green heading buck here. And now we will start leveling out at 5,000 feet, and we can engage the altitude hold mode. So now we will reduce the what hearing, the beep you're hearing is when the autopilot runs into the stop, so it has not enough authority in the elevator to hold the altitude, and what you then need to do is you need to manually trim. So we will reduce the RPM of the engine to something like 2000 rounds per minute. Down, so you can see that we are now, let's do 1900 RPM. You can see that the horsepower dropped to 50%. So what we can do now is we can increase the throttle, or open up the throttle again to set our desired horsepower. So in our case, 65% power, and because we reduced the engine, the rounds per minute of the engine so much, the engine runs significantly cooler in comparison to if you would have set the same amount of horsepower but with a high revving engine. So now let's turn to 77 degrees, so we can follow the magenta line to our destination, and we are already halfway there, so just a very quick and short flight. See whether we can lean the engine a little more. Temperature is increasing again, so I think that's fine. We are now approximately half leaned, so that's fine for this short flight. I am wondering why the prop is so loud. Installed everything, so also the soundproofing. Okay, whatever. All good. And again, look at that beautiful sight here. There's the setting sun. Oh, that is a beautiful, beautiful flight and approach. Okay, so we are already almost there. It's only 7 miles left. So we know that the wind is coming from westerly direction, so I will definitely try landing in the direction 20 degrees. But what we need to do now is we need to descend to our pattern altitude, which is 3,400 feet. And we are only 6 miles out, so I will reduce the power and disengage the altitude. We are at 5,000 feet, so the airport should be right in front of us. So let's see whether we can spot the airport. And I think we maybe should do an overfly just to make sure everything is all right. Until now, I'm not able to spot the airport or the airfield, so let's keep an eye out, and there's also some kind of radio tower. We need to make sure to not hit that. But according to our GPS, the airport should be right in front of us. So let's see. Maybe this is it here. This could be a runway. 2.6 miles. Not quite sure. Yeah, I think that is it. Okay, so what we will do, first of all, let's add a little bit of power again, so to stop our descent or reduce our descent rate. Yeah, so this is the airport, and we will come in from the direction of this this construction site, missing the right word now, and you can also see the slope of the runway, so it's there the runway starts and it's downward sloped. So we will just make sure that everything looks good on the runway, there's no traffic, which is the case. So what we will do now is we first switch on the landing lights, and now we are turning we will do a 360. And we are in the pattern altitude. And then we will join the right upwind of our pattern. What a beautiful sight. Okay, so fuel pump on, landing lights are already on. Let's see that we find the airport again. I think here, that's a runway. So yeah, here's a runway. Here's this, in German it's Steinbruch, so where stones are taken from. Okay, so we are now in the right upwind, and now we will turn to the downwind. As I said, this is the first time I am flying this approach, so be prepared for a go-around. So this is the runway here. And I will now go flaps first notch, gear down. Prop full forward. Mixture full rich and autopilot off. And I think we are now abeam the threshold, flaps second notch. there's the big construction site. Oh, I'm annoyed that I'm missing the word now. Sorry for that. And I think we can now turn to base and initiate the descent. So yeah, that looks quite okay. Yeah. Flaps full. There is the runway. In front of us is the Steinbruch. I will now use a German word. Sorry for that again. Okay. And now we overshoot the center line a little, but that's not a problem. And we will aim for the threshold, which seems to be displaced. But that's not the problem. So we have a little bit of the crosswind from the right, so that looks all quite fine. A little bit fast, but that's not a problem. And okay, not the greatest landing of all times, but I take it for what it's worth, and it is my first landing here, so I think that is all right. Welcome to Sonnen. Let's turn off to the right here, switch off the fuel pump and the landing lights and the pitot heat, and we will turn here to the left and park at this nice illuminated hangar. Okay, parking brake set, strobes off, nav lights and instrument lights off. Auto avionics master off, avionics off, and with that we can switch off the engine. Master switch off, rotating beacon off, ignition off, and fuel vents off. Yeah, that was a really nice short flight with a challenging approach in the midst of Germany, so that is really, really cool. Both sceneries, so our departure scenery and also this scenery, are freeware and available on FlightSim.to. You will find the links in the video description as always. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. That just helps small channels like mine tremendously. And with that, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you very, very soon.